dance like the robots. Dance, dance.
Can a movie go too far? Is it too soon to talk about 72? What's behind the meat locker door? These are the kind of sinister questions you'll find in the vintage newsprint ads contained in Drive-In Asylum, a print-only fanzine dedicated to horror and exploitation films. The terrifying nightmares of a bygone era live again. Images of the sensational, the bizarre, the forbidden, film commentary written by fanatics, and interviews with the deranged people who made these lurid movies. Who would make such a film, huh? How did they do it? Why did they do it? You'll find out in Drive-In Asylum. Armand Mastroianni is in the new issue talking about classic 1980s slasher He Knows You're Alone, along with Stephen Mena, director of Malevolence, plus reviews of fantastic films written by fans for fans like you. Go to drivein asylum.com, order from Strange Vice UK, or visit Forbidden Planet in New York to purchase Drive-In Asylum, your fantastic film connection. To avoid fainting, keep repeating, it's only a fanzine. Only a fanzine. Only a fanzine. Only a fanzine.
When they took away his land, the farmer didn't get mad. He got even. When they tried to burn him out, the farmer didn't get mad. He got even. But when they killed his best friend and attacked the woman he loved, the farmer became the avenger. Columbia Pictures presents Gary Conway as the farmer. An uncompromising explosion of total vengeance. The farmer.
Sometimes a wise man.
An uncompromising explosion of total vengeance. How could anybody have sold a movie better than that? I ask you.
I think the farmer's gonna get revenge. It just seems, I don't want to spoil the next movie for anybody, but it seems like the farmer is gonna do some shit.
I think shit's gonna go down.
Yeah, with the farmer.
Well, shit's definitely gonna go down here because the Stolen Stiches are back for our second segment, Danger Dave and Hot Toddie, and right now we're gonna have a special stunt by Hot Toddie on the show. Are you ready, Hot Toddie? Okay. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Hot Toddie of the Stolen Stiches.
Hello, lovelies. I am Hot Toddie, and we here at the Stolen Stiches Sideshow believe that Sideshow isn't just about exploitation and ickiness. It's also about education. So make sure you bring your notebooks with you and jot this little tidbit down. The human body is capable of producing anywhere between 200 and 2,000 watts of electricity. That is absolutely true. Now, most of that electricity is needed to make sure that the synapses in your brain are firing off correctly. And I have a little bit more electricity to spare because if the synapses in my brain were firing off correctly, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing in front of all of you right now. So let's go ahead and put that to good use. I have with me a devilish device that is not only going to save on the cost of electricity, but clear out the sinuses in the process. You'll see what I mean here in a second. I'm also not going to be talking for the rest of this act because, as you'll see, I don't quite like talking with my mouth full. And now on with the show.
That was
Whoa.
excellent. I kind of thought it was going to be the other. You did the thing through the nose on the last program, and I thought you were going to lift something. I had no idea there was going to be electricity involved in it.
Oh yes, full on Uncle Fester tribute.
Oh, yes.
Nothing
Wow.
stops the Stolen Stitches. Thank you very much.
Of course. Thanks for letting us do this.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. We're really excited to be part of this. We tune in almost every week, and we're just big fans.
We can't just be America's favorite B-movie sideshow performers without actually engaging in sideshow and B-movie material.
Mm-hmm.
You're always welcome to be on the program, and we really look forward to those stunts you send. So let's talk about Microwave Massacre, shall we?
Yes. Donald is a demi-gray ace kink ally. We love to see that. It's very progressive for whenever it was made. Believes in therapy. Finds a lot of camaraderie and vulnerability with his fellow men.
We gotta honestly just admire his honesty. Just like, I like meeting people, and just no qualms about it. Yeah.
In all seriousness, though, this movie doesn't feel like a real movie.
It really does, and it feels like it's just like a sketch that's gone way out of hand, and it's like,
Yeah.
wait, that really?
Like either a sketch or what I kept on thinking was like if you're watching a kid show or like another kind of TV show and there's a horror movie going on in the background.
Mm-hmm. Like one of those made-for-TV movies.
Or if there's like a PSA against like violence or crime or even like sexual harassment in the workplace and the acting just feels very hokey. This movie feels like a fake movie. It feels like a PSA.
This would be the one they would show in church, and they'd say, "Don't watch any movie like this."
Yeah.
You know, to warn you.
That's like one of my favorite bits is when he has the girl on the table and he's just like covering her in like whipped cream, and then he just like basically makes a sandwich out of her. Just starts again, I guess this should not be a real movie, but
Anybody who doesn't like fondant should feel very validated by this movie.
I like that he had so many ovens. Like,
yeah.
And each had a specific use.
Right.
Yeah, it's like if you watch a cooking show,
yeah,
there's so many ovens and there's so many like things to use for cooking.
Mm-hmm.
My brother has 2 ovens, and I always thought, wow, that's really bougie. But Donald's got at least 4 in that giant microwave, so he
uses them.
Yeah. Oh, he uses all of them.
Don't ever make flambe in the pate oven by no means.
Yeah.
You know, we were just talking about this, how like if you have money and you can flaunt it and spend it on whatever you want, that's great. But
Yeah.
like if you can't cook, do not spend money on kitchens that people who can cook really, really want. It's a slap in the face. Like if he only used the one microwave and not everything else,
Yeah.
yeah, that would be terrible. But the fact that he utilizes the kitchen that he has, wonderful, iconic,
Yeah.
man of the century, very relatable. We like Donald.
The only Pittsburghism he's missing, because I kept saying about how his house looked like one, is he doesn't have a big freezer in the basement to go with the toilet.
Yeah.
My grandma had the big walk-in freezer, not walk-in freezer, but the big, like, horizontal one you open up, and
Oh yeah, that was one.
that's where you put your deer meat or the wife that you've killed, and it's going to take a while to eat.
Nora, I'm really sorry you didn't catch my sarcasm.
Nora liked this movie. In fact, she fucking loved this movie, which really shocks me.
Yay! Yay! I'm glad. I'm glad. I don't know if somebody had that in the comments as like a bet or not, but I think they said something about it. I think you lost. Yeah, this felt very
it doesn't feel real, but you're enjoying the journey along with going on with it.
Yeah, and we were talking a little bit about like when it was made versus when it was released, and how it does feel really like a bit of a time capsule of like that late 70s kind of feel, and kind of going back to like how it feels like such a Pittsburgh kind of setting. Like Pittsburgh is sort of notoriously like set back 20 years.
Hey, 1979 was the best year we'll ever have. Why do we have to leave it, right?
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Movies didn't do much good for Pittsburgh. I can tell you that. It was kind of like decaying and run down by the 1980s, because everything just kind of froze. Only now, like, it sort of froze and just kind of hung there all through the 90s and the 00s, and now everything's torn down, and there are all these like soulless glass skyscrapers that have gone up in Pittsburgh, at least in downtown, and like all the cool shit's gone, like the porn stores and that store on Wood Street that sold all kinds of shit, like they had junky hats and glasses, and then they had DJ turntables and speakers. And like just like
that story is in John Russo's Santa Claus, spelled CLAWS. That's where Santa Claus buys his costume, from that store, Bill, which made me super excited.
Aww.
The whole Market Square, like of all the shops that were in there in the 90s, Bill, the late 80s, early 90s are my idea of Pittsburgh, with like George Aiken and National Record Mart and Hare Krishna. We've talked about it before, but that's like the parts I love of Pittsburgh.
I miss Hare Krishna. I took that for granted for so long. I'm like, oh, Hare Krishna will always be there. No, it went away. They were like, do you guys remember that? You might be too young to remember Hare Krishna in downtown Pittsburgh.
Steve, my brothers talked about it. Yeah. He's 10 years older than I am.
It was awesome. It was like this, it was right by National Record Mart. And like if a band came to town, all of a sudden Hare Krishna had all of their t-shirts for sale. And they had this massive backstock of rock t-shirts and posters and all sorts of music paraphernalia, and then in the back they had the real paraphernalia, like behind a beaded curtain. You would go back and there were like bongs and shit back there. It was amazing. Long gone, unfortunately. They moved to the Northway Mall, by the way. They were in the Northway Mall right next to the cinema for a number of years. That was the same people that did Hare Krishna, and then that went out of business too.
I spent most of my money I had in my 20s on rock shirts from there that smelled like the paraphernalia in the back of the store.
Anyway, back to Microwave Massacre. I was really impressed by the way he kept breaking the fourth wall all the time and like looking right at the camera.
It was very charming too, because like the lines that he had were very, very hokey, So to deliver them, looking at the audience as slowly as he did, and is very like, again, we just kept on saying like, this is just Frosty talking to us. It's horrifying having Frosty say these things to you. But it's almost like he's easing you into it a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Just slow right in.
Like, I think if anybody else were to be in that role, I think it could come across incredibly like disingenuous or sleazy or like camp that knows it's camp. And there is like a certain kind of sincerity where it's like, yes, I know this is hokey, but I'm going to play into it and I'm going to be delightful. I'm not going to be snarky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this doesn't get into, it's as close as you can get to trauma territory without being a trauma movie, kind of the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it outperforms trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Because I don't hate trauma films. Like there's a few that I'm actually pretty fond of and like would probably recommend to people, but it more often than not, some of them can be pretty unbearable.
Surf Nazis Must Die. I tried. Like I could not get through it.
I was surprised how much I liked Class of Nukem High. That's and 2 is pretty good too.
That is
compared to there's some of the other, like you said, other trauma movies where you're like, gosh, I can't make it. Like,
Romeo and Juliet. I will vouch for that one.
Yeah.
And I will also vouch for Poultrygeist, although there is a part of it that hasn't aged particularly well, but I will still recommend it. Like if you just acknowledge that it was made in the early aughties, and America was still healing. If you just go into it with that mentality, nothing will shock you.
What about Blood-Sucking Freaks? Wasn't that a trauma movie?
Was it?
Yeah.
They carried it, but they didn't produce it. It's one of their pickups.
Is Blood-Sucking Freaks the one that takes place in like a mansion?
I think that was on the farm, right?
Yeah, this one's kind of like almost a remake of Wizard of Gore, where there's like a guy who does magic tricks and then the women show up dead after. He has a small person assistant named Ralphus.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that is the movie I'm thinking of. That one is, again, if you put your head in the right mind space, it's a fun one to watch.
That was our torture test movie as a kid. If people wanted to watch horror movies with my brother and I, like, well, first you have to watch Blood-Sucking Freaks, and most kids would be like, no, I can't.
That's good.
Yeah. Any movie that has extended scenes of teeth pulling usually keeps people away.
Do you have a movie like that, Dave? Like where if someone wants to watch films with you on a regular basis, you're like, watch this, and we'll see if we vibe.
One of my favorites is probably Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things. It's a slow burn zombie one. And it's like, all right, you can watch this. See how you like it.
What about you, Bill? Do you have a horror vibe check movie?
Well, I could say Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things too. But since Dave said that, it would probably be something like The Children. That's a good one. Another movie also put out by Troma on DVD, but was not a Troma movie. I love The Children, and also, Nora's favorite movie, The Child. Does it sound creepy that I picked 2 child movies and said children shouldn't play with dead things too? I don't know.
Children are terrifying.
They are.
Yeah, I guess I like that when kids are bad guys in movies.
Mm-hmm. You don't see it coming. So who's gonna blame the kid?
I blame
also movies where kids get their hands cut off. Bill seems to enjoy.
Oh
well.
Yeah. Bill's a sickie. Sam, what's your? I think I know what you've told me what yours is. I already know.
Oh, what? Well, before when I was a kid, it was what do you call it? Blood-Sucking Freaks. But today it's probably Beyond. What was? Did I tell you Beyond the Valley of the Dolls? That's usually what it is.
Yes.
That's the one.
Yeah, because my wife and I have played it for people, and they've been like, "Can we shut this off? It's really upsetting me." and we're like, oh, we're not gonna ever be able to watch movies with these folks. So, to be fair, the first 2 minutes of the movie are just like an onslaught of like imagery and every taboo being broken in very quick succession. But you got to get through that.
Let's get it all out once, and then bam, there you go.
It still has shocks to deliver later in the movie.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I mean, it keeps a little bit there. It's got. I love whenever movies are that old and people are still can be offended by them. Like this movie's 50, like it's almost over 50 years old. Like, get with it. But it's timeless, right?
Yeah.
Bill, I was gonna say Messiah of Evil is another Bill movie. That it's kind of a vibe movie for Bill, or Terror House is another Bill movie.
Speaking of Terror House, this movie had a lot in common with Terror House, especially the ending where they showed the cast as a menu.
Yeah.
Really?
But this one's like way over the top, whereas Terror House, the comedy in it is more restrained. It's very straight faced, but the stuff that they're doing is kind of jokey. I remembered the trauma movie that I always forget is a trauma movie and that I really love. It's Mother's Day.
Oh yeah.
I have to say I love Mother's Day, and I thought that movie was so awesome. Especially
it's been a minute since I've seen it, but it's solid.
Oh, it is. And somebody just put out, was it Vinegar Syndrome is putting it out now? A brand new version of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're doing the Lord's work.
Absolutely. Vinegar Syndrome, Severin, Mondo Macabro. It's, well, are they a store or a label? They're a label. Yeah. So
yeah, there's some great stuff coming out. I have Synapse is still putting out some good stuff, and don't forget, we should probably say Visual Vengeance because they pay us sometimes. So
yes,
Visual Vengeance. They're pretty good too.
They're really doing the Lord's work. They're finding movies that nobody ever heard of, and they're putting it out there, and they're like, you need to watch this because it's good. So far, they've been right on the money every time.
Yeah. I'm pretty excited, Bill. I got the first two, the copies of the new ones I'll show off next segment. But one comes with an error refreshener. I mean, how many Blu-rays come with an error refreshener? That's pretty rad.
That is.
You don't smell like werewolves after you watch the movie.
I did actually think about something pretty offensive about Microwave Massacre, like just kind of like replaying things. To my knowledge, I don't think Claire Ginsburg was in any other movies. I don't think so. And I find that incredibly offensive. She was lovely.
She should have been.
I know. Me and Sam were talking a little bit, like while the movie was playing, how me and Dave were rewatching Dead Silence. And we were playing Script Doctor. And my very first note for what I would change about Dead Silence is that the husband would get killed and not the wife.
Yeah, he was
because she outperformed him. She was so much more charismatic, and like, granted, he was trying to play the role of a person whose wife died a few days ago. So like, I get it, but like, that would have made for a much more entertaining movie. And I think like I could have watched more of this movie with like May getting killed as a finale. Like if she had to go, utilize her.
Yeah, she should have been in the movie.
Fantastic nagging wife.
She had more to give. I think I forget who made the comment. I just had it up on the screen about Dan Sitch. Was it ahead of its time in lampooning toxic masculinity? I would have to agree. Because, first of all, every guy on that construction site looked like he was out of a Joe Gage film from the 70s, like Heavy Equipment or, Kansas City Trucking Company or whatever. So he had that going for him. And they all had funny T-shirts, too. Like the one guy was like trying to pick up that girl, and he was wearing this tank top that had like a giant stars and stripes design on it. It looked like... Yeah. It looked like he was a dancer for one of Linda Carter's variety specials. And also, the guy had a Snoopy shirt in the one scene, and then at the end where they showed up and they were dressed up for a night on the town, and they had those crazy outfits on
Oh,
to go out.
Peacocks. They were just peacocks.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's sort of like what I was saying at the beginning of this segment when I was like kind of talking about the movie sarcastically. But no, it actually is a really good deconstruction of all of that. And I think like with him breaking the fourth wall the way that he does and like how soft spoken he is about all of that, I think it also kind of gets across like this thing that doesn't really get talked about too much whenever it comes to like men being violent in real life. And that's like, oh, I couldn't ever believe this guy did it. And like really playing into that, because a lot of like femme folks will watch that and like will totally buy that, like, oh yeah, I totally believe that this guy snapped. I did. So even though like he is kind of like schleppy and soft spoken, like he's no less capable of kind of falling into that toxic masculinity and taking that out on his wife and other women than like, you know, the himbos that we were all rooting for in the construction site. You know, so that I think just having the movie be like that was kind of ahead of its time in that sense too.
He was doing it to impress them too, because we get the impression that they didn't like him until he started bringing in that food, and they liked eating the food. So he was like, "Really, you really like it?" In that Frosty the Snowman voice. So he was doing it like because he wanted to be accepted by the men.
Yeah.
And he also happened to knock off his wife and get rid of her in the process too. So this was sort of his liberation moment. He was finally living the life he wanted to live.
This is one of my favorite things in a movie too, where it's like, you know, he's had this fantasy of gorgeous young women, and finally when he is presented with the opportunity, he has no idea what to do with her. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's a lot easier for that to live in your head for 2 or 3 minutes than it is to like actually have it be reality. And he's probably better off with just having his wife and the life that he had at the end of it all.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah. That's why I like schlock horror, because all horror to a certain extent does kind of tap into those social anxieties. Like no matter how hokey the film is, like you can pick these things. And I feel like with this movie, it's a lot more deliberate, but like even in trauma films, some of them, like they kind of stumble across those like little grains of truth. That's like, oh no, actually that is really fucked up. And like, I'm glad you mentioned that. So, you know, I'm not going to say that this movie is like full of secret genius or anything.
Yeah.
But you know, it is interesting. It is interesting. And I think it adds a lot more to the film than maybe like, I'm trying to think of like a good counterpart.
With the unexpected, like deeper plot, like 2000 Maniacs.
That
it's like, oh, this is a little bit deeper than I didn't realize.
I think the movie's deeper than the directors realized.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I really don't. I don't know much about the production, but it feels like a very like they made it. They knew what they were doing, but they didn't realize how profound it was. I don't know.
Brigadoon After Dark.
I love that Herschel Gordon Lewis went on to invent spam mail after making his movies.
Really?
So, yeah.
That
He was like a major. He wrote all the advertising books I read when I broke into advertising, like all the ad weeks, like introducing advertising. But he changed. He was like H.G. Lewis, and I was like, that. Could there be 2 H.G. Lewises in the world? No, there isn't. They're both Herschel Gordon Lewis.
Honestly, that tracks. That's wow.
I think he's very. That's what I like about that movie. Is very much like all of his movies are very much like, hey, you want to see people get caught up in crazy stuff? Like here it is. Let's take it. It's about an hour. And
add a barrel with nails in it. Here you go.
Yeah.
Which that's probably my favorite kill in the movie itself. It's just so like ridiculous.
Who thought that up?
That's my favorite scene in the movie, because after it happens, even the ghosts are upset by it.
Oh yeah,
they're like, man, they're like all like, oh, how did we do this? It's such a come down from it. It's weird.
Yeah, they're like fans of murdering people. Then like, oh no, this is we were just pretending murder. It's like,
Yeah.
what?
It's sort of like every once in a while when we do sideshow and like we're there with like other entertainers, like somebody will do something on stage that makes the rest of us go like, oh, I would never do that.
Mhm.
It
Not
doesn't
often.
happen often,
Not
but like
often,
when
but
it
it's like,
does, it's like, oh,
that's a tough one.
yeah. So we kind of feel like the town in 2000
Mhm.
Like, oh man, you just pushed the guy in the blade barrel. No.
Yeah.
I just love that they're like, let's kill all these Yankees. And it's like, well, let's not kill them like this. Like the drawing and quartering was totally cool. That was artistic, and we
But the
did something
barrel?
there. Like, but this no.
Mm.
Mhm.
And even after all that murder, that kid's just like, I want candy.
Right.
That's the way that they escape, because that kid's love of candy is the secret to escaping these ghosts. I love that movie.
The innocence of a child
Yeah.
that also kills cats, so not that innocent.
Yeah, exactly.
You
Well,
know,
he
They're
did
like-
get sucked back into it at the end. He didn't actually
Yeah.
get to escape, so unfortunately
Yeah.
for him.
yeah. So
Sorry, it looks like Tracy got Frosty the Snowman ruined for her, so that her Christmas is going to be much darker this year, right?
Ah,
Hopefully,
Tracy.
Rudolph isn't ruined for you. You can still watch Rudolph.
Leave it to us
Yeah.
to ruin Christmas for you.
it's okay. It's sort of like if Jack Frost ended up like becoming a lot nicer once he entered the body of a snowman.
Yeah.
Just that's all that happened, Tracy.
Yep.
He didn't keep murdering people. He just helped out
It's learn a
Rudolph.
life lesson.
This is why you have to keep the hat on his head,
Exactly.
or this happens. Speaking of Christmas, my wife already started buying Christmas stuff yesterday.
Yeah.
So that was the first
It's on
Oh.
sale.
Yeah, it's that time
Yep.
of year.
It was on sale at Big Lots. It's half off. So she was like, we're going out.
Don't ever pay full price.
Mhm.
No. So we
Yeah.
got, there's already stuff, but she was like, she said to me a couple of times, and I will admit she's right. But it was like, if you don't get this stuff now, you're not going to get it.
Yep.
So
We can't really complain. We have Halloween decorations up year round. This is the
Yeah,
one
this
time
is
of the year we're normal.
Yeah, we blend in with everybody else.
they went up in when, July? Yeah, July, first week of July, how like fall, mid-July, fall, and the house is always a farm of some sort. Now it's a Halloween farm, and
Nice.
soon it will become a Christmas farm.
This is
Yay.
my Christmas. This is Halloween is my Christmas. I'm not really
Yeah.
into
Same
Christmas,
here. We're a fan.
but
Mhm.
Halloween like that's my time of the year. And I've had so much on my plate lately. I haven't gotten a chance to decorate like I usually do by this time. I wanted to have some stuff up behind me here for the show, but I wasn't able to do it in time. But I did start today, finally, October 7th. It's not too late. It's never
You know what's
too late.
actually been surprising? Lowe's. They have a lot really decent sized animatronics, like a good like 6 to 8 foot tall ones, under $200. And they talk and they do a lot of stuff. I'm like, wow, you guys are actually doing good.
It's my neighborhood this year has embraced Halloween as much as Christmas, so it's pretty exciting.
Nice.
Yeah,
Good. That does our
That's
hearts
awesome to
well.
hear.
yeah. So it looks, there's some really cool stuff going on, so I'm excited about that.
We have the Barbie Dream House. I mean,
that's
Zombie Scream House.
Yeah, we discovered that right up the road from us.
Yeah, right by the fire department. Somebody went all out.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, all out. It's-
Impressive.
It's one of those like house setups where the longer you look at it, the better it gets.
Mhm.
Yeah, they really outdid themselves.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
hmm
Our second feature tonight is The Farmer from 1977. And this is a movie that all four of us are going to be watching for the first time tonight.
Mhm.
hmm
This is a movie that never came out in any home format until last year when Scorpion put it out on Blu-ray. But they tried to put it out on DVD at some point in the late 90s, early 2000s, and then it never happened. And then there was a version that came up last year. Bill and I talked about it. It came up on YouTube for like a day or two, and the director and creator was like, nope, take it off.
Wow.
And it got pulled, and it was like, it would be on Internet Archive. He would get it off there, and like it was like a fight to find this movie until this year when it came out. So the fact that it's just like on Tubi now, this is what's magical about the world that we live in. Like you can just go to Tubi, and like this movie for years that I was like, I'm never going to see The Farmer. tonight I will. So it's pretty exciting.
No, I'm excited for it. I heard it was like, I'm a big mafia historian fan, so I heard like, oh, okay, farmer mafia. I'm like, okay, I'm all in for this.
I
Yeah.
like trash, so I'm in.
Yeah, I like Death Wish clones too, so
Oh, God.
pretty excited about that. And the actress who's in this is in Angel Tompkins was in Walking Tall Part 2. So if you didn't have enough Walking Tall, walk taller in this one. And Austin was on the show last week from the Canon Film Guide, told us that Gary Conway, who is the star of this, wrote Over the Top and was going to star in Over the Top, and Canon talked him out of it and said, well, we're going to put Stallone in that, but you can be another one of our movies. So he is in American Ninja 2 as the bad guy. He's awesome in it. He's way over the top. He's in a bunch of Canon movies as he somehow became their bad guy. And yeah, Mike Justice reminded me, Angel Tompkins, also the teacher.
The teacher.
Gary Conway literally is Rick Dalton from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. His career is 100% the same career. Like he was on Burke's Law and he was on Land of the Giants. Like he's he went from like, is he going to be a big star? Is he going to be a TV guy? And then like, that's how Rick Dalton ended his life. If you listen to Tarantino's podcast, as being a Canon star. So in the Fireman series of movies. So The Farmer definitely feels like that kind of movie. So that's why I'm excited about it. I love Revenge-o-matics. So I can't wait. This ad bill you have up is wonderful too.
Nice.
It is beautiful, isn't it? This was a big deal. I mean, this movie has a lot of fans. I bet everyone in the chat is probably excited about seeing The Farmer. And most of you have probably already seen it, but we're a little late to the party on The Farmer, so we expect to be converts tonight. And had a great ad campaign too. Here we are. This looks like a really serious film, doesn't it?
Yeah, that shotgun is gigantic too. It's not phallic at all. And
no,
gigantic.
Totally not phallic. Especially with that woman hanging off of his leg.
Yeah.
It's a boomstick.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And there's a barn on fire in the background. Don't do that to a farmer. It's not nice. Here we go.
Whoa.
This is amazing. The Farmer actually did play with Taxi Driver as a double feature in a lot of places. I think there's a couple more ads with it in our gallery tonight. And also Shampoo.
I've never seen Shampoo.
Warren Beatty as a stud hairdresser. That's all I have to say.
What?
That's all I have to say about Shampoo. That's all you need to know.
I was going to say, is this going to be our double feature with Sextet?
Yeah.
It could be. That'd make a great double feature.
Whoa, The Farmer and Shampoo played together. Wow. What a weird lineup of 70s films.
It's pretty amazing. And of course, I wanted to know what the Dusk to Dawn was. So here I dug this out too. It wasn't what I was expecting. I thought it was going to be a bunch of horror movies, but instead it's like, more action adventure and lifeguard.
The Shootist.
Yeah. John Wayne, baby.
That's one of my favorite John Wayne movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once is now enough, as opposed to not enough. I think Gary Conway's in that too. I could be wrong about that. Does it say what?
That says Killer Elite. I am so blind. I thought it said Killer Flute, and I needed to know more, but no, that says Killer Elite.
Yeah, Killer Elite is from 75. I can't remember who's in it.
Killer Flute sounds like something I'd want to watch.
That would end up on Drive and Asylum for sure.
Killer Elite has it's Sam Peckinpah. That's why I know. And James Caan and Bo Hopkins and Burt Young. God, that's a Sam movie right there. And Mako is in it.
Oh
wow! Look at that night. Bill, how much do you love that movie house typeface?
I don't know. It looks kind of Gandy Dancer-ish.
I love the Gandy Dancer. They're bred and is amazing, Bill. So beer on tap and the 10 Commandments in this ad.
I'm excited about Jack Nicholson in Five
Yeah.
Easy Pieces with
Yeah.
Karen Black.
Aw.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the other movie we were going to recommend. Was Out of the Dark.
Oh,
That was it.
yes.
Yeah, that was the other one that if you hadn't picked this one, that was the one I was going to recommend for you folks. But I'm sorry, Karen Black on the brain.
We had a Karen Black double feature a couple weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
and it was wonderful.
Yeah.
Gary Conway, yeah, he was one of his first movies just came up in the chat. He was Frankenstein, and I Was a Teenage Frankenstein. He's also in the saga of the Viking women and their voyage to the water of the great sea serpent, which is the longest title of a movie.
I forgot about him being the teenage Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Look at this piece from 1977. All of these wonderful movies,
Wow.
including a Rudy Ray Moore Fest at the Bellevue Drive-In.
Nice.
Black Sunday too.
Yeah.
The second Black Sunday, not the Mario
Yeah.
Black.
Mm.
Yeah,
The Terrorist Black Sunday.
And The Farmer Played with Hard Times, which is I love that movie. Bronson,
yeah.
Yeah, what a night.
There's somebody in this movie who was also in Rocky. If I remember correctly, like the mafioso guy. Because I was looking that up earlier, and he has like so many bit parts in so many random movies. And actually, it was kind of depressing because I was looking through it, and they basically were like, yes, he was known for being a comedian, and he was known for being fat. And that's basically all that IMDb had to say about him.
Nice.
Yeah, so, and because of that, he got just like random bit parts here and there. So this is actually kind of nice to see him getting like a starring role. Even if
George Mamoli, yeah.
Yeah.
He's in Mean Streets too, is another movie I know him from. But he's in a ton of stuff. He's in The Herat Experiment. I Wonder Who's Killing Her Now. He's Philbin from Phantom of the Paradise. Yeah, he's in a lot of stuff. But yeah, he never usually is like, he's like man in bar, man in mortuary, cab driver,
Always a bridesmaid, never a bride.
He's the guy who lets Rocky and what's her name into the ice rink in Rocky.
That's
Rocky
it.
pays off.
This is from Pittsburgh.
Oh.
You can see some of the local theaters that it played in, but we'll just go right to this because I also have a drive-in panel from Pittsburgh. You can see it up close. They didn't have any of your big places, Sam, like the Super 51 or the Spotlight 88.
Spotlight. Yeah, it's okay. Man, The Other Side of Midnight. Pretty sweet. I love looking at these. Ken Marr has probably the best feature. House That Vanished and Little Girl Who Lives Down the Lane. Come on, Bill. Is it too soon to talk about 1970?
Yeah, I didn't even notice that House That Vanished was playing.
My eyes went right to it. I'm like, House That Vanished? What? Yeah.
Yeah, the print is sometimes really small in those third features.
I wonder for Maple, was that the Cinderella, the musical Cinderella that was playing there? Because this would have been around that time.
It's well, was it a musical? You're thinking of Alice in Wonderland.
I thought that there was a musical Cinderella, the one that what's his name directed?
Michael Pataki.
Yeah.
It's got to be that. I mean, it's X-rated.
Yeah, because Fairy Tales is almost the same movie. But yeah, that's what I was thinking. Wow. All right, I'm not. And Lipstick was playing with Domino Principle and Other Side of Midnight. That is another good one. Man, the world was better.
Lipstick.
I learned this week, Bill, that the Hilltop Drive-In in Monongahela, I learned where it was, and it is an old folks' home now. And I found an ad that Chili Billy hosted a 4-movie night there in like 65. So now every time I drive past it to go shop to the grocery store, I'm going to get even sadder.
Did it say what they showed?
No, it just said all night. But the next week, Birth of a Baby was playing there, so I'm going to say that this was a very scuzzy drive-in theater. The Hilltop.
Most likely.
Yeah. Which makes me even sadder that it's gone. Come on.
There's the Farmer, Taxi Driver, and the Odessa File at the North Side Drive-In.
Man.
On Spring Garden Avenue. I don't know where that was because I hardly ever went up Spring Garden Avenue when I lived on the North Side, but it's like a long stretch of road.
Yeah.
Could have been anywhere. Well, anyway, that was
these ads always make me happy and sad at the same time.
I know. It's just like you gotta look at all the stuff that's now gone.
Yeah. And hey, we got our catchphrase in during that segment, so I'm pretty happy. I saw that David even shared it too. Is it too soon to talk about 1972? No, it's never too soon.
Oh yeah, I wondered what that was.
That's what's gonna be like. That's the if you know, you know. That's our hashtag IITSTTA 72 ? That's gonna be my new vanity plate. And they'll say somebody already has that, and I'm like, who? And it's Bill.
No, it's gonna be David.
Yeah.
I can't even talk about 72 now, and it's 2023.
No. Never going to be too soon. We're not going to talk about what happened, whatever it was, from those people.
They're clamoring for your drink segment.
Oh,
Sam.
Are they? Sweet.
Yes, they
Daryl
are.
is. Two people are. David Gregory is too. So yes.
The people are rebelling.
Let us make the drink.
All right.
Mike Justice was dead in 1972. He's like Mork from Mork. He ages backwards.
Yeah, when being dead, I guess it kind of is like being before you were born. I guess
he's like, I know what it's like to be dead.
You didn't exist yet.
Yeah, you were dead. You just didn't exist. I guess. Who knows?
All right.
The farmer. Look at him. He's like, I'm going to make you a fucking drink.
Found a farm cat. He's going to teach us how to make this drink. What do you think, buddy?
Meow. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Andy, for this recipe. This is for the farmer. And this is called the Good Farmer. Andy is referred to as the farmer at his house. I don't know. Our friend Amy gave him the name because we live in a farmhouse, as you can see. Right now it's a autumn palace, but usually it's a farmhouse.
And he has a buffalo check collar, so he's the farm cat.
So, this is the Good Farmer. Pretty simple. We're going to start with the mint. There you go. Slap the mint. And you're going to muddle the mint. I got a muddler here. 2 muddling drinks in a row. What are we going to do?
Get out your muddler.
Get out your muddler. Get out your official Drive-In Asylum muddler. You have one, right? It has a skull on it. Mm-hmm. Your Groovy Doom muddler. We're going to get branded stuff one of these days. I swear it.
You need a cocktail kit.
A cocktail kit. You need like a little special kit, and of course it comes with Midori and vodka and pineapple juice. Anyways, there it is. We're going to add lemonade, about 6 ounces of lemonade. Boy, this is like a summery kind of drink, not fall. But hey, you know what? 1.5 ounces of bourbon.
I feel like you need a spoon.
I feel like I need a spoon. If only I could call Farm Cat over and be like, spoon and be like, I'm getting one. I don't know why he has a New England accent, like he works in, like he's from Murder, She Wrote or something. I used all the Jim Beam, the cheap bottles. It's not cheap either. Like I was like, I'd get one of the cheap bottles. It's $10. Anywho, Good Farmer, Pazuzu. I didn't say Pazuzu the last drink. Is that bad luck? Pazuzu's had all the bad luck in the world this weekend. That'll date when this video came out. But man, this is it. Let's take a sip. That is lovely. What a sip and drink for the porch of your farm to watch the farmer get his revenge.
Sorry, I forgot to unmute our microphones.
Pazuzu back to everyone. Drink Pazuzu, everybody.
The Pazuzu.
Pazuzu.
And thank you again, Steve Wilson, for putting the drink recipe in chat.
Thank you.
All right. So, what else about the farmer before we go to it? Since none of us have seen it, we can't really, I guess, comment on
I
it.
know. That's what I'm excited about. This is one we're all
Yeah,
going in
it's-
blind.
It's really cool. Like you're saying, it's kind of lost in time, and nobody ever seen it. Like it just the fact that it shows up on Tubi, it's like finding real gold.
Yeah. What's
Yeah.
next? The astrologer shows up on Tubi. That'll be the next one. Like, what? How did this happen?
The director's got of Event Horizon.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, this stuff you're like, I've been waiting for years to see this.
Pamela's watching it for the first time tonight. So is David. Who else is going to be seeing The Farmer tonight for the very first time in their lives?
Daryl also said I was going to ask Sam to post the drink mixes on his Letterboxd reviews. Good news, Daryl. If you go to my Letterboxd, I actually have a list of every one of the drinks there. You can look them up by movies we showed on the show. And there's also a list of all the movies we've shown, so you can kind of say, hey, have we ever seen this? So pretty exciting.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like
Farm Cat has never seen The Farmer either, have you, Andy? Nope. Never seen The Farmer.
A lot of it. A lot
Yeah.
of folks haven't seen this movie yet, so that's pretty amazing.
Right.
Awesome. I'm excited to watch it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking I saw somebody say it's like a Rolling Thunder vibe. Cool. That's totally good with me. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah. Let's do it.
That's right.
Yeah. And we'll be back, Bill. Before we go, next week's movie, a hint for next week's movie.
Yes.
It is an older movie. And most excitingly, our guest, it's a late movie next week. Late movie, not late night movie, late movie. Next week.
Stay on brand.
We have a super exciting guest next week who may have made some movies himself. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say what state he's from. Because if I did, you'd know who it was. So, yeah. So, it might be the reason that the president's dead, if you know Misfit songs. That's what state he's from. Yeah, I know. Anyways, that's next week. So, yeah.
All right.
I'm super excited. It's not Todd Haynes. We're not watching.
No.
Oh, imagine next week, Francis Ford Coppola, my dad, will be joining us. My dad looked exactly like Francis Ford Coppola. Francis Ford Coppola will be joining us, and we'll be watching My Dinner with Andre next week on the Drive-In Asylum double feature. But no,
we're going to be watching Superstar the Karen Carpenter story.
Oh,
director
imagine.
Todd Haynes.
Oh, I would love that. Someday, Vince asks every week. He's like, all-nighter, dust to dawn every week. One of these weeks, we're going to keep you up. We're like, you know what? I'm going to watch. It's not Donald Farmer. That would be amazing if it was. But just as amazing, I will say that the person joining us next week is somebody I look up to a lot and very excited to hear why they picked this movie. I know how much they love it. So, yeah, pretty exciting. Also, next week, Bill and I will be doing our Dogs of the Week for night. I watched a deep cut of Dogs of the Week this week, and it was literally, I was like, man, I love every one of these movies. What the fuck are they talking about?
Yeah, we only show Dogs of the Week on this program, so we'd have to do something highbrow for our Dog of the Week.
Yeah.
Opposite.
Next week, Asia Argento making fun of Mike Justice for 2 hours. That's what we'll have next week. So that'll be. We're gonna watch Dracula 3D, and she's gonna talk shit on her dad. Come back next week. It's not her either. That'd be awesome. But actually, no, even the ones that we mentioned, I would say next week's guest and movie are more exciting. There, I've oversold it. So let's just watch The Farmer get even. He's gonna get even. They already told us, but let's see how he does.
I bet it happens, and I bet it happens damn good.
Mm-hmm.
Spoiler warning: he gets even.
They're not coming.
That's the TV Guide review. He gets even. 1 star.
All right.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Stolen Stitches, you'll be back for the third segment?
He will.
All right.
All right.
All of you will too.
Good up there.